Today I want to talk about how using the TrendSpider tools that I've taught you in my TrendSpider tutorial not only kept you from shorting NVIDIA, but actually told you to expect higher prices after earnings. So first up, let's start on the daily chart of NVIDIA stock. So let's crack open this chart and see what's going on in the stock market today. Alright, first things first, I am currently running a Memorial Day sale for 50% off the Stocks Channel Trading Discord community and bank trade alerts. All you simply need to do is apply the coupon code Memorial Day, all one word, and hit apply at checkout, and you can find those links and the coupon code in the description of this video. On top of that, TrendSpider is also running a Memorial Day sale where you can get a 7-day free trial period and up to 50% off your membership for TrendSpider. You can claim that deal for TrendSpider by clicking on my link in the description of this video, and I also have a tutorial video that will help you get started and set your charts up to look just like mine. So if after this analysis any of those services interest you, now is the best time to take advantage of those discounts. Alright, so the first tool I love about TrendSpider is the unusual options widget that you see on the right side of the screen, and I'm now going to throw up on the screen what this options flow was looking like back around the middle of April when NVIDIA was still trading right around $270. So as you can tell from the timestamp and the date, this is exactly when we started to see huge out of money call order flows flowing into NVIDIA stock using the unusual options widget, which told us there was a very good chance NVIDIA stock was going to start gamma squeezing towards $300. Now keep in mind, this is from April 18th. That was back when NVIDIA was trading back around $271. And now I'm going to remove that from the screen and we're going back to the chart. And we can see from there around the middle of April, we had a little bit of a pullback and then we started to rip higher all the way up to about 317. So not only did we hit 300, but we exceeded it by a nice margin. Now all along I was warning you not to short this stock because we had a strong bull trend, but underneath the surface I also had a lot of data about the short volume and the unusual options that told us smart money was also betting on higher prices. As I always say, the chart cannot lie and you need to follow the chart because our job as traders is to follow the smart money, and if the smart money is bullish on a stock, it is going to show up in the price action in the trend. So all along underneath the surface, we had a very bullish chart in NVIDIA all along, and we had the data that without using these tools, you would never know how many people were shorting this stock, even though there was a lot of big money buying out of the money calls that were telling us they were expecting the stock to go higher. So this is only one part of the analysis. We have other tools we're using on TrendSpider that I want to go over next, and the first one I want to talk about is the short volume. So let's go ahead and put on the short volume, and remember how to do all of this is in my tutorial video, which you can find the link below. So let's go back to April 18th when we saw a lot of the out of the money calls, and we could see at the same exact time we were also seeing a spike in short volume, which meant short sellers were starting to step in because they expected NVIDIA stock to start going lower. However, we had the data that said there was a lot of smart money buying out of the money calls, so this was a buying opportunity as we were getting a pullback back into the support in the low 260s, and that's exactly when we started to see the shorts start to cover right before we had another face ripper to higher prices that brought us above the 280s. Now keep in mind, 280 was a breakout because that was previous resistance. So again, we had a pullback into the retest of that breakout. And again, we started to see the short volume spiking on May 1st and then starting to cover during the pullback before we started ripping higher yet again. The next face ripper is the one that brought us to 317. And yet again on May 18th, after those higher prices, we saw short sellers stepping back into the market yet again, which led to the pullback right before the final face ripper of earnings, which was the huge gap up all the way into the 380s. Now, once more, I'm going to throw up on the screen exactly why I did not suggest shorting NVIDIA stock into earnings, even though a lot of people thought it was going to sell the news, because the out of the money options told us there was a huge big money bull that was just sitting on top of 350 calls that were expiring in the middle of June. That alone tells me stay the hell away from shorting that stock because somebody with a lot of money is making a huge bet that we're going to much higher prices, which means they have way more information than I have, and I am not going to stand in the way of a freight train. So obviously after earnings, the rest is history, and not only did we gap up above 350, but we gapped up all the way above the 380s. So one thing I want to warn you about is this is still not the time to short this stock. This is a technical analysis channel, but very quickly I'm going to show you how simple the fundamentals of this stock are, is that when NVIDIA reported earnings, they were only looking for revenue of about $7 billion, but now they're upping their guidance for the second quarter of 2024 revenue to be right up here at $11 billion. That is over a 50% increase of what the market was expecting, and that now makes perfect sense on why this stock has been face ripping higher all year long, because smart money likely already knew this. Remember, smart money has access to unlimited resources, and their behaviors are witnessed in the chart through the price action and trend. That is why I always teach you to follow the price action and trend and not your bias. There is no way as the average retailer we would have known that NVIDIA was about to up their guidance by over 50%. However, the chart was screaming in our faces all year long that there was something very bullish about this stock and it wanted to go higher. So it's very important to understand that your job as a trader or a technical analyst is to only trade what the chart is giving you. And all year long, this chart has been in a very strong bull trend, which we're going to go over next as we talk about the technicals. All right, so next up, we're going to throw on our technical indicators. And once more, all of how to set this up is in the tutorial, which you can find in the description below. So let's go back to that very important day in the middle of April when we started to see all of those out of the money call options. And let's go through the technical indicators to see what they were telling us at the time. So the first thing first, we had the 20 period moving average, which was positively sloping, and we were doing a lot of consolidation between the low 260s all the way up to about 280, which meant we were in a trading range. We can see based on our volume by price, we were starting to see signs of accumulation as the volume was starting to grow significantly in that zone, which told us we were either building a very important distribution resistance, which is going to be a supply zone, or a very important accumulation, which is going to be a demand zone that this stock was about to launch from. So then we go to our technical indicators and we see that all along RSI stayed above 50. And remember that RSI above 50 is still bullish momentum. So there was nothing in the RSI screaming in our faces that we had to sell this stock. If we just look at basic price action, we were holding the support zone down here in the low 260s because every time we hit that level, we had a strong bounce, which told us there were still buyers at that level. That is what was building this volume shelf of accumulation and support. So we now had strong support in the low 260s and strong resistance at 280. Once more, we can see the MACD was always above zero, and even when we had negative momentum, we were really just going sideways and we were never really in a strong downtrend. Once the MACD turned back to positive momentum and we broke above the resistance at 280, we now had price action confirming we were breaking through resistance, and then we had the backtest of that resistance as support. And this is when you started to see me in my daily technical analysis telling you that you had to stay bullish while NVIDIA was above 280. The technicals were saying we had bullish momentum, the price action was breaking above critical resistance, and we had out of the money call options that told us we were likely squeezing into the 300s. And then on top of that, if we go to our Bollinger Band squeeze indicator, we can see that we were squeezing all along during this period of sideways consolidation, which was also a giant bull flag. Now before earnings, we started to squeeze to higher momentum, the MACD went positive and the RSI started to climb, and we started to get a bullish squeeze before earnings that told us that the bullish indication that we were going to higher prices was going to send momentum through the roof. We saw that first indication when we closed outside the upper Bollinger Band on May 18th. And then we did get that very scary pullback into earnings where a lot of people thought the stock was going to crash after earnings because of sell the news. But that is where those unusual options of out of the money in the 350 call zone in the middle of June told us that somebody was still betting that we were going to much higher prices. Now for me personally, I don't play earnings and I didn't play this earnings saying that we were going to higher prices, but I sure as hell wasn't going to short it. All of these indicators were screaming bullish momentum. All of the price action and trend was telling us we were going to higher prices, and we never broke down below the positively sloping 20 period moving average on the daily chart. There was just nothing objectively on this chart that told us this stock had to go lower. And if you really observe it objectively, you were really expecting this stock just to continue to go higher, because if you take all of your bias out and you stop worrying about what the valuation was, the chart was just screaming a bull trend. And if I took off the ticker name and just gave you this chart with no information, you would have traded it bullishly all along. Once you realize your bias is telling you to be bearish, then you're going to start realizing you're being a bad trader because you have a lot of this baked in bias. And a lot of that baked in bias comes from fundamentals, because a lot of people think they're expert economists or they're expert stock evaluators, and they're going to tell you exactly what a stock should be trading at. Again, I just said it before and I said it again. Your job as a trader is to trade the chart, not your bias. And your job as a technical analyst is to follow what the chart is saying. There was nothing on this chart saying we had to go lower. It was only your bias and your constant fear the stock was going to crash, because we just had a bear market last year and you have a lot of recency bias. So now looking at all of the technicals, we can see the bullish momentum was there all along. The price action was telling us we were making higher lows and higher highs and breaking out of a bullish flag, which was a bullish consolidation. And all of that momentum fired to the upside, and we launched off of this volume shelf. And we are now trading all the way up here into the 380s outside the upper Bollinger Band. And I just showed you the fundamentals of how this stock is actually cheaper after earnings than it was before earnings. Remember, this company just upped their guidance by over 50%, and the stock only moved up about 30%. So if you look at the fundamentals and the valuation of the company and you base it on a growth company around revenue, even the fundamentalists are now saying this stock is cheaper than it was before earnings. Let that sink in for a moment because it's going to blow your mind how a stock that just went up 30% is cheaper than it was the day before it reported earnings. As you know, I couldn't care less about that because I'm a technician and I only follow technicals, but I do think it's interesting that you understand that point. And then finally, to pull this all together, the question you're probably sitting there wondering is it now time to short this stock now that it's overextended outside the upper Bollinger Band? The short answer to that question is no, and the long answer to that question is no. Do not short this stock just because it's going higher. Everything on this chart, even though it is extended, tells us it's still bullish, which more than likely means even if we don't go up, we're more than likely just going to go sideways. I just showed you how that long period of consolidation of bull flagging went sideways was another way NVIDIA was building up energy to go higher, and I actually think that's exactly what we're about to see again, and I think the trading range is going to be between 360 up to about the low 400s. That's a $40 trading range, and we have no evidence that that trading range exists yet because we need more price action and data, so I think it's better to just sit back and wait for this chart to give us more information. These Bollinger Bands are expanding, the rising 20 daily moving average will come up to support price, and then we can analyze on where it wants to go next. So if you just simply look at the out of the money call options that we still have, there are still premiums of over $400,000 that take us above 400 that are still going to expire in the middle of June, and these people have still not closed these positions. When these positions close on this tool, they will disappear on the chart, so I know confidently the bulls are still expecting higher prices. We also have a lot of in the money calls, and for all we know, these puts are actually hedges for a bull that owns a lot of shares. And then on top of that, we have over $140,000 in premium that say by the end of June, it's possible NVIDIA could be trading at $450. So for all intents and purposes, this is not a stock you want to be shorting, at least based on the chart and the unusual options widget, which correctly kept us from shorting the stock all year long. So be patient on this stock, and if it's been burning you, just delete it off your watch list and stop trading it, because this is exactly what Tesla did a few years ago when it just went higher and defied all odds and looked like there was no such thing as gravity. This could be the next Tesla stock, and this could be the next growth story that blows everybody off of their feet, and this could be one of those outlier stocks that goes higher even if the rest of the stock market is going lower. I'm going to do a whole nother video on the breadth of this market and what is going on underneath the surface, but this video is strictly focused on how to use TrendSpider's tools to help you become a better trader, because you're going to get a lot more information underneath the surface that the average trader may not have. Remember, our job is to follow the chart, the price action, and the trend, and not what we think is going to happen or follow any bias for that matter, whether we're going higher or lower. We simply want to follow the chart. So as I said in the introduction, I'm currently running a 50% off promotion code for the Stocks Channel Trading Discord and Bank Trade Alerts. You simply need to apply the coupon code at checkout, Memorial Day, all one word, no spaces, and you can find those links and the information in the description below. On top of that, TrendSpider is also running their deal for a 7-day free trial and up to 50% off their plans. So you can find out how to take advantage of that deal by clicking on my TrendSpider link below, and then you'll be able to sign up and take advantage of that discount as well. Keep in mind, for TrendSpider, I also have the tutorial to show you exactly how to set up these tools just like I have them on my chart here. So thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you're crushing this market, and as always, I will see you in the next episode.